Hello, friends. It's been a while. I feel like I've said that more than I should have in the past on past videos. It is New Year's Eve today when I'm videoing this. It's the day of New Year's Eve, and I love the videos that I make at the end of the year because not only is it kind of an overview of how I feel like the year went, but also looking forward into the new year. What is the Lord saying? What are some of the things that I'm thinking? And I don't know how it is for you, but I know for me and some people that are close to me, it seems like what the Lord's telling me, there's similarities to what the Lord is telling them as well. And I think it's because we're all in the same classroom. He's teaching us, and it looks different for all of us. It plays out differently, but maybe some of the things we're supposed to be learning or the lessons are similar. I don't know how it is with you and your people, but it seems like that's how it is with me. So I'm going to talk about kind of a little bit of this year, but also what I feel like the Lord's saying for next year, which I'm pretty excited about. I got a download of it, like when I was taking a bath, of all things. So weird. Maybe a month ago. So anyways, so this year, what a year. Oh my gosh, what a crazy whirlwind, wonderful, busy, hardworking year it has been. The last time I was on here, I believe, was when I think my last video maybe was about me saying the direction I felt like the Lord had given me to get my real estate license. Like, that was out of the blue, out of nowhere for me. And, he spoke it to me. I signed up the next week, or that week, for the school, and it has been busy ever since. Last year at this time, I had made a video. I try and make one at the end of every year. And I love doing it then because I get to talk about maybe my goals for the next year or what I'm thinking. And one of the things I had said for this year was I was going to make what I thought was a super easy goal of making one video a month. One video a month. I thought I'm like, oh yeah, I'll nail that. Nope. I failed miserably. I made 3. If you count this one, it could be 4. Still, that is an F when you come to school. But it's always an opportunity to do better next time, right? And I will say the last video you heard from me, of course, was when I was getting my real estate license. And oh my gosh, it has been full steam ahead since then. I still haven't shared about the whole God story around my house, which I'm going to soon. But sometimes you hold something so close to you for so long, and then when it actually happens, I'm super excited to share the story, but I'm just I'm not ready yet. It's kind of like having a newborn, and you're like, I'm not ready to go out into the world with this baby I've carried for so long. And sometimes stuff feels like that with me. I may take 3 dozen pictures of me having lattes with TJ and I having lattes in coffee shops. And, I've never shared my wedding pictures. I will someday. Maybe I will this year. Who knows? Not that anyone cares, but, it was just so personal and so, and so I felt that with the house. TJ and I prayed about this house for so long, our entire marriage. And then to see it happen, wow, it has unfolded in such an amazing way. And it continues to unfold. Even till now, the story has continued to unfold. And so I'm excited to share that this next year. But going back to this past year, um, ever since I got my real estate license, it was just boom, boom, boom. And I'll share that later, but it's like the day I put my license with Murney, the company, I found the house that we ended up moving into and buying. And so, like, you know, there was a process. Like, I've been taking classes, and then we got the house, and then we're going back and forth with like contracts and all the busyness, because here I am, a new agent. I'm doing both sides. I'm selling my house, I'm buying a house, I'm learning how to do all the things. Thankfully, everyone was nice and held my hand through the process. And then moving is a beast. And so lots of house projects. So even though I failed in the sense of being faithful to make videos, I'm like, it's okay. I'll do better this year. And really, I don't always think of like a new year, like you have to wait till the new year to start. But like for us right now at this time, it is a good place to start. And so I'm excited to share some of that stuff with you. But for now, let me share with what I feel like the Lord is saying for this next year. And I'm excited about that. So, you know, sometimes the Lord speaks to me in pictures. I'll get a picture of something. A lot of times, like when we're praying, and when I'm praying, the Lord will give me a picture first, and then we'll explain what he's showing me. And so it was a long, hard day. One day I was like, I'm taking a soaking bath with Epsom salts. By the way, you should do Epsom salt bath 40 minutes to get the full effect. 20 minutes to get into your skin, 20 minutes to really saturate your muscles. Most people do it for 15 minutes. It needs to be longer. Anyways, and the Lord shows me a picture of a field. It was like a wide open field. And like in the distance, I could see it kind of lined with trees, you know, like a boundary, like the back of the property of this field and the sides, but it was really big and open. And I felt like he said that you've come to this open, wide place. Like all these things that we have been praying for. Guys, so many answers to prayer. It started like almost a year and a half ago. I mean, there's been answered prayers all along, but it seemed like boom, boom, boom started happening maybe a year and a half ago. And, but he's like, all these things you've prayed for, like, have happened. And, you know, your kids have all moved back to town. We got the house that we've been praying for. All these different things. Anyway, so you're in this wide place, this open space. And then he shows me a picture of the tide, like the ocean coming in and out. And he said, there's seasons. There's a season with everything. There's a cycle, a tide that goes in and out in every day. Like if we think about it, we go to sleep and then we wake and then we sleep and then we wake. There's a cycle in a week, you know, where he said to rest one day. We work 6 days, we rest. We work, we rest. And then there's a cycle like in the seasons of the year. We got the different seasons. We have wintertime, we have springtime and harvest. Knowing the season that we're in. Even in a woman's body, like we have a monthly cycle. There's seasons. And he said, you're coming into a new season and you need to have discernment as to what season you're in. And he showed me a picture of, you know how when you look at a cow who is like plowing a field, you know, he's like in the harness or whatever, and he's like, his head is down and he's walking forward. I got this picture of me, like with my head down, like focused, moving forward. And he's like, it's time, it's a new season, and it's time to come into the season of doing the work that I've called you to do. Being, taking more initiative in what he's placed on my heart. And so, part of that, as simple and as maybe, I don't know, low key or however you want to say it, as this channel is, like, this is part of my mission. He told me years ago when I first became single to share the journey. And, I've had seasons of being good and faithful at that. And then I've had seasons of not, because things get busy and but that's part of my mission. It's a part of me, like, being faithful with God, what God is teaching me. And then also to write. I enjoy the process of writing, but have I taken time to sit down and write? No. And it seems like I'll go up for prayer for something else, like whatever it is. I'll go up for prayer. And we go to a church that is pretty, I love it. It's got all the stuff happening, people are raising their hands in worship. People dance in front. You go for prayer and they might give you a prophetic word, I love it all. Anyways, I'll go up in front, for prayer. And, they'll be like, the last time I went up, the lady's like, I tell her what I need prayer for. Actually, no, it was TJ. TJ went up for prayer and I just came along beside him to pray with him. And the lady's like, I know you didn't come up for yourself, but as soon as you came up, I saw a backpack with books in it. She's like, are you a writer? Do you write books? And I'm like, no, but I'm supposed to be. So I feel like it's a time that the Lord's saying, let's start working on that. Let's start being faithful with some of that stuff. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, you need to discern this whole thing with discerning the seasons and discerning the time. He's like, part of that, and this is cool how it's happened, but he's like, part of that is the whole thing with how I use my time. Now, I can look at my day, and TJ looks at my day. TJ knows what I do all day. We talk. He kind of knows, because my day is different all the time. I'm working, but sometimes I'm working in the afternoon. Sometimes I'm working all day. Sometimes I have some morning ones. Picking up kids, taking kids places, and then cooking dinner and grocery shopping, all the stuff, and there's busyness in that. But one thing I realized, is, and sorry, let me back up for a second. I look at the way I use my time and I feel like I'm really efficient. I am a hard worker and I'm really efficient. And, I think just having a lot of kids and having a lot on your plate just teaches you, you got to take advantage of the time you have. And so I'm going to tell you something that is a little, maybe embarrassing. Hold on one second. Okay, sorry. Is a little embarrassing. But not as embarrassing as some of the stuff I've said. 5 minutes and 52 seconds, if some of you guys remember that one. Doesn't come close to that. But it's, but I always say the real and raw stuff, and so in my mind, I have always, I don't watch TV. TJ and I will occasionally watch a movie, when we have a night to ourselves. Or sometimes, occasionally we'll watch one with the kids, but it's not real often. And I've always looked at it a little pridefully, oh yeah, I don't waste my time watching TV. because truly when I watch TV, I feel like I'm just wasting my time. And it also sometimes just kind of gets on my nerves because I'm like, why am I sitting here watching someone else's life, fake life, like a fake story, instead of me living my life, And when I was single, I remember, and my kids, we didn't have a TV the whole time. Like, we had kids and my kids had to do other things to find entertainment, so they're creative and stuff like that, and I hold that to be valuable. And so I remember when I was single and people would be like, oh, well, what'd you do this weekend? And I'm like, oh, I went to this festival, I went to this, and I'm having all this fun because, of course, like, you're married. My life was difficult, and it was also very monitored, and so then it's like I get single. I'm like, wow, like I'm an adult, and for the first time I get to do what I want to do, so I'm like visiting friends. If I have if it was a weekend I had the kids, I'm taking them to do stuff. If it's a weekend I didn't have the kids, then there was a little bit of sadness because I didn't have them, and I do stuff. And people would be like, wow, you're just like going all the time. You're having fun and doing all this stuff. And I'm like, you could be too. But I talk to them and they're like watching football Sunday and they're zoning out on some TV show they're getting caught up with. And I'm like, it's just different forms of fun. You find your form of fun this way. I don't. I do it another way. Mine just looks more whatever, everyone has their opinions and judgments. So anyways, so this is the mentality I have, right? It can come across as a little prideful in me because I feel a little whatever for like feeling like, oh, I'm living my life instead of watching someone else live theirs. And like when TJ and I got together, I told him my philosophy on that, why I don't have a TV and why I don't sit around watching TV. He's like, I've always felt that too. He's like, I want to live a life and not watch someone else's life. So it's like another way we are so perfect. We're like, we don't watch TV, we go do fun stuff. Or we hang out and do fun stuff. So like I just felt like I was using my time a little better, which is just kind of prideful, doesn't sound real good when I say it like that. But then I had a come to Jesus moment when something happened on my phone. And I think you can like access this all the time, but I never do. And it's just like I swiped or something and this thing came up and it told me how much time I had just spent that day on social media. Oh, people. And I'm like, I just spent an hour on social media. I'm like, hello, that was a wake-up call. I'm like, I'm thinking I'm a little bit better. And I know that sounds bad. And I don't want it to sound bad, but let's just be honest. Like, okay, we're not perfect. I'm not perfect. And I'm like, oh, that's bad. I'm like, and then I felt so wasteful. I'm like, wow, I wasted that much time because like, yeah, to me, like, oh, it might not have felt wasteful. And I could say, I'm like, well, when I'm on Instagram, I'm not even looking at people's stuff. My Instagram is just full of like recipes and decor. So I'm like, I'm getting new recipes and I'm figuring out like new ways to decorate or whatever. But in reality, like I have all these little saved things, dinners, appetizers, drinks, all this stuff. And I save them. I feel like I'm being so organized and all this stuff. How often do I go to that and actually get recipes that I make? Like I do sometimes. But that's not an excuse. And then on Facebook, where I catch up with more of my friends, yeah, it feels like I'm catching up with my friend's real life story, but is it? Like, it's not. It's not. It's not real catching up or whatever. And so it was a little bit of a shocker. And I'm like, wow, you know, sometimes when you get that wake up call, you're like, oh my gosh, like that's got to change. And so coming into this new year, I'm putting like, I'm sure there's a thing out there, but like a way to where like your phone doesn't let you be on something longer than it should. I'm like, I think 15 minutes is probably good enough, you know, where I can like maybe post some things, maybe look at some things, maybe get on Facebook Marketplace. and that should be good, you know? And so it's distractions. It's getting rid of distractions. And it's so funny because like I was saying this and you know, I'm very social and I like to share what I'm doing and I love to see what other people are doing. And I'm not the type that like looks at what other people are doing and gets like jealous or like, oh man, I wish I could do that, or my life was like that, or, you know, I just think it's fun, you know. But I'm like, it's become a waste of time, obviously. And so so processing that, you know, a lot of times the way the Lord works is he gives me the same message in a couple different ways. And so I've been reading this book, Disruptive Compassion, by Hal, who started Convoy of Hope. It's a great book, by the way. If you really want to get a fire under your seat to like do something great, read it. It's really good. And I have this bookmark, and you know, I'd finished one book and I'm like, oh gosh, I still haven't finished that book. I'll go grab it. I grab it. Guess what the chapter is on? It's on distractions. And so I'm reading it and I'm like, oh, this is really good. This is, because then he's talking about distractions that you don't think of as distractions. And I'm like, oh, these are good. I'm like, I need to underline it. And then I flip the page and there's all these things underlined. I'm like, I've already read this chapter, and going to the end, I'm like, I've read the whole chapter. But somehow maybe my bookmark got placed in there. Maybe as an angel. Because when I picked up the book, that is the chapter I needed to read. And so, you know, so this year, part of things is I'm getting rid of some distractions. And that includes me saying no to things, not doing as much. Like, I love to do things. I mean, I love to get out. I'm at my house all the time, which is how I like to live my life. Like, I work at home. I now get to work out at home. I love to be home. But because of that, I do like to get out, and I like to get dressed up because I actually really like to get dressed up. But the process, like I'm not going to do as much this year. I'm not going to host all the stuff. I'm just not going to do as much so that I have more mental capacity and more time freedom to do what I'm supposed to do. And as the Lord said, you got to discern what season you're in. Another thing is, oh gosh, where was I going with that after that? Oh, I hate it when I do that. I should really take notes. Okay, another thing, here it is. All I had to do was look at myself, because I try and look at where the camera is. And then like, oh yeah, I remember. One of the reasons why I don't make as many videos is because, and as vain as this sounds, which don't judge, because if you're making a video, you may be the same way. But like, I don't want to make a video if my hair's a mess. And you know, sometimes to like make your hair like video worthy, what I would consider my hair to be video worthy, like it takes some time. And like if I have 45 minutes of time, let's say, I'm like, oh, I can make a video, and I'm like, oh, that means I need to like curl my hair, or I need to figure out like what shirt I'm gonna put on. Also, something happened to my my camera with like the glow light that makes it brighter. Something happened to that this year. I haven't got it out to figure it out. And so it's like, oh, I don't have that fixed yet. So many excuses. And I'm like, you know, those excuses are stupid. So here I am looking like a very normal Shauna, like on a normal day. It's not a colorful sweater or shirt. My hair's just, it's fine. It's fine. My makeup is just, you know, a few things. But I had a little bit of time, and I'm like, I don't have enough time to make myself all fancy, but I do have time to make a video. So here we go. We're going to be real here. And now if you go back and look at how I look on videos, you'll be like, oh, she spent time getting ready for that. Believe it or not, I did. So anyways, so that's a wrap. That's a wrap for this year. Going into next year, I'm excited. I'm going to be more faithful. My intention is I'm going to be more faithful to what I'm supposed to do. Less distractions, less saying yes to everything, more seizing the day. And yeah, so that's where I'm going. That's where I'm going with things. So guys, I can't wait to share some of what God did last year, because I tell you, I always have stuff to talk about. I go through the day, I'm like, oh, I can make a video about that. Like, I have so much to say. So stay tuned, and yeah, click on the subscription if you want some notifications of when I make one. See you. Peace out.